Today's your lucky day. I'm going to let you steal my blueprint for making over $8,000 per month selling digital assets on Shopify. Be patient because I'm giving you guys some sauce and you do not want to miss anything in this video. I promise you, you're going to learn how to set up an e-commerce store, find the right products, price them to be competitive, advertise them, and even develop and package your digital assets so you can sell them and start making a profit after you're done watching this video. And you're probably asking yourself, why the hell are you qualified to teach me? Well, here is a Photoshop plugin that I launched exactly on February 8th. And if you fast forward exactly 1 month after that, I made over $8,000. So there's your proof. And before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor today over at Recraft. What the hell is Recraft? Well, it's an image generation tool, but it's also a design tool. It gives us creatives full control over the entire design process. You're going to thank me later. It's really cool. Check it out. So I've imported my logo and I just basically click and dragged it onto from the folder to this canvas. And I'm going to go up to the top and click vectorize. So I can actually vectorize anything directly from Recraft. On the left-hand side, I'm just going to click image and let's generate an image. I already have a prompt in mind. We can change the aspect ratio whenever we want. I'm just going to keep it on 1:1. And then we can refine our prompt further if we wanted to, and even click on Recraft V3 Raw and choose a different style. For this version, I'm actually going to go with photorealism. And then for 2 images, I'm just going to change that to 4 and click Recraft. And just like that, we have 4 images generated. We can pick our favorite one. And I think I'm actually going to go with this one. Looks really awesome. So now that we have our image, we can just click off and click frame now. And this is basically like a canvas or an artboard that we're going to work off of. And we're going to start building our design. So let's go ahead and click our photo here and drag it into this frame. And let's remove the background real quick. So click remove BG. And if we want to, we can even add text to the background. So I'm just going to type out glory days. The cool thing is we can select everything in our frame and recraft with it. And this will actually create a design with everything that's on that frame or part of that frame. And you can create realistic mockups on the fly with a simple prompt. All you have to do is drag your art onto that mockup now, and it's automatically going to blend it for you. You just resize it as needed. And you can try Recraft today for free. Use my link in the description below, or you can use my code Charlie11 to unlock everything on Recraft for $1. That is right, just $1. Before we start developing and researching our digital product, we want to find a home that we can actually sell our digital products on. And there are so many e-commerce platforms out there. Some of them are better than others, and some of them cost more. So what it's going to come down to is your budget. What do you have to work with right now? What can you afford on a month-to-month basis? And what features do you need for your website? Those are all things that you need to consider when picking a platform to start selling on. One of my favorite hands down is Shopify. That's the obvious choice that you're going to get recommended to you, but there are actually better options out there when you're just getting started out. If you have less than 20 products, do not use Shopify. I'm going to be recommending Gumroad to most of you today, but let's first take a look at the pricing structure here for Shopify. So if you go to their pricing page, you're going to see that they are running a promo. So you can start for free, of course, but then it's going to cost you $1 per month for the first 3 months. That's $3 for 3 months. That's pretty good, but you have to be willing to commit to their expensive monthly pricing or yearly pricing. So their basic package starts off at $39. You do save on the yearly plans, which is great. So if you want to save 25%, I recommend doing that, by the way. It's only $29 per month. And then it goes up to $79 for the Grow plan, $299 for the Advanced plan. Most of you are going to be just fine on the basic package, so do not worry about the other ones. I actually use the basic package right now, and it's been serving me well, and I have well over 20 products, so it's good for me. Now, on the monthly, though, which is what I pay, I'm paying $39 a month, so you are paying quite a bit more. I honestly don't know why I don't just go with the 25% off yearly plan, but it's up to you. Just keep in mind that the card rates are going to change per package. So if you want to save on the card rates, you want to go up to the higher tier packages. It goes as low as 2.5% plus a 30-cent USD online charge for for taking cards. So just pay attention to all the features, figure out what works best for you, and that's the one you should go with. Here's where it gets fun. When you're installing apps to your Shopify store, some of those apps have their own subscription. So not only are you paying the $39 a month, unless you're going with the annual plan, of course, saving that 25%, but you also have to pay a subscription for certain apps. So this is Luke's Reviews. This is how I gather all of my reviews via email. It's my automation for basically gathering reviews. It's really helpful. It's very hands-off, but it costs money. So you can see here that the beginner package is $12.99 a month. So now if we're doing some math here, I'll just add up what I'm paying. So we're doing, what is it? $39 plus $13. So that's already $52 a month if my pricing is accurate. Yeah, so 39 plus 13, that's 52. If you times that by 12, that's $624 per year. And of course, you can use these monthly fees as a tax write-off if you're a sole proprietor like me or an LLC. But it's important to note that this is definitely not cheap, and you have to be willing to invest early on. And most of you are not going to be making money within your first year of business. You're going to be building your business, but I can help you speed that up when we're going into the ads later on. I'm going to teach you how to set up effective ads. And moving on to Gumroad, I think Gumroad is probably the best option for most of you. If you have less than 20 products, I recommend you start off with Gumroad. It's a lot cheaper. There's no monthly fees, and all you have to do is pay per transaction. So I'm not going to go into the details of this, but you can see here that there is a per transaction fee, and that's it. And they do have, some sort of apps and stuff like that, but it's definitely not going to be as robust as Shopify. Shopify has a lot of third-party apps for pretty much anything you can think of. The downside of Gumroad is that you can't build a custom website to the extent that you can on Shopify. So if you go to my website, charliepangus.com, you'll see that I have this custom theme that I purchased through the theme store on Shopify. And this cost me around $299. So it's definitely not cheap, but it's cool that I have the option to do that, or I can go hire someone or buy a theme for like $50, even less. There's all these different themes that you can purchase at different price points, which is awesome because you can really make the website your own. But on Gumroad, this is an example, by the way. I found this random profile on here searching for things, but you can see that this is kind of what you get. This is their theme, if you will. And you could customize it, of course. Like I can make the background black, I'm pretty sure, and do all these different things to it. But there's still there's still limitations here, right? You definitely can't do as much as you can on Shopify. You're kind of at the mercy of what Gumroad offers you. But again, you still don't get all those apps and all that stuff. So I think that when you're starting out, you have less than 20 products, let's say, or 20 products even, no more than that. I would say Gumroad's perfect for you, and you're going to save a lot of money in the short term run. But if you're looking to grow a digital product empire, you're going to want to start off with Shopify. That's just the way it is. You're also going to need a custom domain name to look professional. If you use Gumroad or Shopify, I believe they have a built-in domain service that you could just buy a domain directly through the platforms. But I use GoDaddy.com. I've used them forever, so that's what I use. But you can use any domain service that you want. Some of them range from $1 to $40, $50, sometimes even thousands of dollars. And you just want to go on GoDaddy or whatever domain service you want and just start typing something in. It could be, I don't know, let's go Soul Digital Co. I'm just making a name up on the spot, so forgive me for the terrible name. But this one is going for $21.98, $21.99 per year. So that's the renewal price. And I believe we can go down here. So .com is available. And then you can also see all of the other domains that are available, like souldigitalco.co. That one's repetitive, but it's only 1 cent right now. So you can get into that domain for 1 cent. .store is kind of cool, 99 cents. That's pretty good. So yeah, some of these are really cheap. You can have more than one domain pointing to the same, URL, whether you're on, Gumroad, Shopify, Big Cartel, whatever, it doesn't matter. So now that you've set up your e-commerce store and you have your domain and all that stuff, it's time to actually research what products you want to start selling first. There are so many of them. I recommend you guys start off with a mock-up, like a t-shirt mock-up, a hoodie, whatever sort of mock-up you want to make, because they sell the fastest and they're also the fastest to make. And the only bad thing about them, I would say, if we're going into the cons immediately, is they're a low ticket item. You can't really charge too much for them. They're just not high ticket items unless you have, 100 to 300 mockups that you're bundling for one large price, like $100 for 100 mockups, for example. But again, they're a low ticket item, so you'll make profit, but not as much as with a Photoshop plugin like I have. Let's actually just type in t-shirt mockup for Photoshop. We're already finding some mockups here. Let's click on the first one that we see. So this t-shirt mockup is around $17. So that's around probably what I would charge for a mockup. It would have to be a front and back mockup for that price. So I noticed this one looks like it's only the back, if I'm not mistaken. That's kind of the research you want to do. You want to find out what these mockups cost. So this one's the front and back for $17. Well, it starts off at $9 unless you want commercial license, which I always think this is kind of silly to have commercial and personal licenses, but $9, that's pretty good. But if you want the commercial license too, $17. And then they have an extended that's ridiculous. But anyway, I wouldn't pay more than $15 to $17 for a mock-up like this. I recommend even purchasing a bunch of mock-ups and testing them and seeing how they actually made them, because that's how you can learn. And I did that early on in my career. I just bought a bunch of products and I also used them professionally. So it helped kind of develop my own products. So don't steal anybody's shit, of course. That's obvious. If I were you, I would be a little strategic and undercut the market just a little bit. I would charge around 12 to 15 bucks for your mock-up and make sure it is a front and back mock-up. One thing I love about Creative Market is you can actually see the product specs. And this is something that is also part of the research. You want to make sure you're looking at the file size and the dimensions. So this person designed this mockup in 7,000 by 7,000 pixels in Photoshop, most likely at 300 DPI. And that gives us a good idea of where our document should be around, because if ours is only 4,000 by 4,000 pixels, why would someone want to, pay $12 for that when they can get a 7,000 by 7,000 pixel document that's much higher quality? Now it's time to make our very first digital product, which is going to be a t-shirt mockup. So I want to show you guys how I shoot my actual clothing mockup specifically. So anytime I'm, trying to come up with any sort of product mockup, whether it's a t-shirt, a hoodie, whatever it is, I always like to buy the smallest size that I can find available. It just makes it much easier to handle, especially when you're laying it out on the ground to take a photo of it. At Michael's, they only had an extra small, which is great. This is perfect. And I bought it in this green color because my flooring that I'm about to show you is brown. I don't want to use red or anything like that, or black, because of how black absorbs light. So green is perfect actually for cutting it out of things like the background. This is actually the floor that I shoot on. Nothing fancy. This is just my wood floor. I have the lighting coming in from my backyard, which is perfect because I have nice even lighting. This is nothing fancy, guys. Like, you literally just want to lay it down. And if you can de-wrinkle the shirt, that's even better. I'm using my phone for this demonstration, but you're going to want to use the best camera that you have available. So if you have, let's say, the Lumix S5 II like me, you want to use that obviously, but for this demonstration, I'm just using what I have in my pocket, which is my iPhone. And you want to use the main lens. You don't want to use your front facing camera. That's the lowest quality lens that you have. So you want to go ahead and make sure you're using the main camera, and that's it. And then you just want to make sure you center it up. You don't want it to be like all like this or like this. You just want to make sure you're right above the mock-up and try to get the best photo that you can. Let me see if I can do this real quick while recording. So that's the photo. And as you can see, it's really high quality, nothing crazy, but it definitely gets the job done. There's plenty of detail for me to work with. And if you want a back mock-up, you just flip it. It's really that simple. There's nothing, crazy there. Now we're gonna take those t-shirt photos from my iPhone. We're gonna import them into Photoshop and start processing them and turning them into an actual t-shirt mock-up that we can sell on our website. So let's first look at my current mock-up and dissect the layers so we can understand kind of how this works. So let's first actually open up some artwork. And you know what? I'm going to open up this brand new one that I just did for Sinners. I don't know if you guys saw that movie. It's really good, but I just made this poster for it and I actually printed it out. I'll maybe show it to you guys soon, but yeah, let's take this and just paste it. Now, as you can see, before we paste it, we have different layers, obviously, but if you look at the adjustments, let's hide that for a second. You can see that it's in a group. That's just for organization purposes. And also so we can clip things like the shirt texture, which is a very small change, by the way, and we'll get into that. But let's go to the artwork. Now, what I've done to make it more convenient for my customers is I created two different groups, one for light shirts and one for dark shirts. You could probably get away with doing just one group. You really don't need both. You just basically change the blend mode of your art and it's done. But this is really nice because it at least allows the artwork to blend into the shirt, and all they have to do is drop it in the respective group and it works. Another thing I've done is I've created color presets. So you'll notice I use layer masks for everything, especially with the artwork groups, because we don't want the artwork peeking out of the shirt. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the layers. Let's go ahead and create a new document based on this one. So let's go to image size real quick. So I have 7200 by 6600, 300 resolution. And you know what? We're just going to make it 7000 by 7000 pixels. So we're going to go up to File New or Command N or Control N. And let's just make sure that we are using 7000 by 7000, 300 resolution, of course. And everything else looks good. Create. So you're already one step closer to creating your mockup. Now we just want to go ahead and import our images. So let's go ahead and import all of them at once. and take a look at them. There's 1, 2, basically the same thing, 3. We're not going to focus on the back. I actually like this one the most, so we're just going to delete these bottom 2. Before we cut the shirt out or do anything like that, let's go up to filter, camera raw filter. Sometimes you can use the auto geometry to fix any sort of issues with the, like maybe you're tilting the phone when you shot the photo a little bit too much. If it's not level in any way, this is where you can try to fix that. We'll try auto first. And as you can see, it really didn't make a massive difference. You can definitely try different ones. You could apply auto geometry if you want. You don't have to. If your image is already pretty good, you don't really have to do that, but that's just something to keep in mind. Now let's go ahead and press Command T or Control T on our keyboard, and let's scale it up a lot. And let's go ahead and go up to our magic wand tool and click Select Subject. I'm using the cloud processing because it just gives you finer results, and it should do a really good job, and we'll see how good it did right now. Let's go ahead and apply that layer mask. Now, a fun little trick I do, and I think you guys should do too, because it helps you kind of see if the edges are good or not, just apply a separate color from your mockup. So maybe red or gray. Gray is usually pretty good. Maybe not gray, actually, just because of, I don't know. There's no reason. Blue. Yeah, blue's really good. So you can kind of see if there's any imperfections. I'm actually really happy with this cutout. There's nothing that I want to fix immediately. So you know what? We're going to go ahead and go with that. The only thing I do want to fix though is this tag is a sore thumb. Now you could just keep the tag and use it as part of your mockup, or you can remove it. One thing I do to remove tags is I just select around it. It doesn't have to be like anything crazy. And I just try to use generative fill. And sometimes that will do a pretty good job. Sometimes it won't. We're already like 30% done with this mockup. It's literally that easy. It didn't do a perfect job, but I'm okay with it. So now we can just select both layers, which is the generative fill layer and the mockup layer. And let's convert this to a smart object. And we're going to name this base. Okay. Now we can hide this color fill layer for now, or you can keep it. We might use this layer later on for the shirt color as well. So that's why we're going to keep it. And before we even convert that base layer to a smart object, we should have made it black and white. So let's go ahead and go up to Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. So I rasterized it, desaturated it, and then now we can make it a smart object. And we're going to also use this for layer masking and all that cool stuff. So now we can create a group, and we're going to put this above the base layer. We're going to name this Adjustments. And this is so our customers can change things like the shadows and highlights. And we're just going to duplicate this 2 more times. So we're going to have this base 2 more times. So we're going to have base copy 2, drag that into Adjustments. And one is going to be shadows, and one is going to be highlights. Super simple. Now the highlights are actually going to be darker than the shadows. So it's kind of weird how it works. So we're going to first go to shadows, and we're going to actually bring them up quite a bit, sort of like this. And we want that to be very crunchy. So we're really focusing on the dark parts of the image. Not too much though, because look, that's too crazy. We don't want that. Somewhere around here is okay. We can keep playing with it though until we find a good balance. So this is going to be our shadows. And we can actually convert this to a smart object as well, so people can't make any changes to that. So now we have our shadow layer, and all we have to do is change the blend mode to one of the darken blend mode types, because we want to keep the shadows, obviously, the darker parts, not the lighter parts. So we can actually use multiply for this. So change that to multiply, and then from here you can change the opacity to change the intensity of those shadows. And if you toggle it on and off, you can kind of see what's happening there. It gives you a lot more crunch. Now let's go to the highlights. And on the highlights, we are going to make these darker. So it's going to be the opposite. We want these to be really dark. This is pretty good. It's coming on a little strong, but for this example, I think it's okay. We'll press OK there. And again, we're going to convert this to a smart object, and we're going to use the screen or the lighten blend modes because we want to keep the highlights, of course. So we're going to use screen on this one. So now we have our shadows and we have our screen. And then this base color is basically going to be used as a layer mask now. So let's go ahead and take our BG layer and let's duplicate it. And we're going to change this to whatever color we want. But before we do that, let's go ahead and make a selection of our base layers. By holding in Command or Control, we can make a selection. And as you can see, we already have that selection. All you have to do is toggle on that BG layer copy, which is now going to act as our shirt color. So we can name that shirt color, or actually better yet, fabric color. And let's go ahead and create a layer mask. And you can also do that from the contextual taskbar here. Let's do that. There we go. So now we have our shirt color. And if we change it, you're going to see that it will change the color of the shirt. It's really that simple, guys. I want to keep it on red because I want to make some adjustments to my layers here to soften everything up because everything's coming on a little too much, too strong. So we'll take the highlights down a lot. And now we have our shirt color, we have our adjustments. We're basically ready to put our artwork into this as a test. So let's make this shirt black for now. There we go. And let's take our centers design and let's just paste it above everything. And it's already starting to blend. Look at that. Now all we have to do is create a group for it. And we'll name this artwork. And we can even make a layer and name this paste artwork above. Something like that. So this lets people know where to basically place their artwork. And from here, we can just drag our artwork into that folder now. Super simple. And there you go. Now, obviously, it's peeking out of the shirt. So this is where you can copy that layer mask over to the artwork, and that will stop that from happening. And obviously, the blend mode needs adjustment. We can probably take this artwork and make it a smart object and name this design, or click here to change design, whatever, and then make this a smart object. So when we click on this, it's a smart object. So they can basically just paste their artwork in there. And let's actually try this out. Let's go ahead and open up this final destination design I did. So take that, paste it, and then we'll hide this one and save it. And there you go. Now the artwork is in there. So it works as intended. And you're probably noticing that the artwork is not blending, and that's because of the blend mode. So we do want to change the blend mode to screen and just basically scale it down. And we can actually create another smart object for lights. So this one will be for darks. And for the lights, we just want to change this fabric color to something white. So, or gray, whatever, it doesn't really matter. This works. And we want to paste our artwork, which is this jelly roll design that I have. And we are going to want to change the blend mode to probably multiply. Yep. We can scale it down if we want, or just keep it big like that, which looks pretty good. Now, obviously we would have to make some sort of adjustments because the shadows are coming on a little too strong. And again, we want to make this a smart object. So let's rename this, click here to change design. You obviously want to name it so people understand. Do your best to just make it make sense for people. That's all I can say, because some people don't get it and you have to assume that they're not going to understand what you're trying to say. We can actually take this base layer and delete it now. We don't need that. We don't even need the BG layer technically. If you want to keep it, it's up to you. This actually is kind of cool because then they can change the background color on the fly. And when you go to save it as a Photoshop file, make sure you check maximize compatibility. And we can actually don't show that again. Press OK. There we go. We have a mock-up. So now we are ready to actually prepare it to upload to our website and advertise. So next step is finding some sort of cover for our product now that we have our mock-up. And to do that, we can go to sites like graphicburger.com. Let's go to it real quick. Really what we're looking for is something that just looks cool, you know, and it will look like it's actually something that we can stick with for all of our products. So there's some cohesiveness. I did not like Graphic Burger. I didn't find anything. So we're on Unblast. And I think I've used this one before. This one's actually perfect. It's just a box. Now, you don't have to use a box. Maybe it doesn't make sense to use a box, but we're using a box. Why not? All right, cool. So now we have a mock-up. We obviously want it to be a 1:1 ratio, aspect ratio. So we wouldn't want to keep this aspect ratio, but for now it works. So what we want to do now is just take our artwork and paste it into their smart object because we want to show this mockup off. So we can actually take our artwork off and the background. When I pasted this into their mockup, look how highly detailed this is. For being an iPhone, it's literally insanity. But anyway, so we're going to just, you know, create some sort of design out of this. Now, I don't need their design, so we'll delete that. And then for the background, I'll probably just make this like a gray color. So it's a little bit different than what my website would be, which is typically like an off-white. Now, we could probably add some sort of, I don't know, gradient behind it just to give it a little bit of something. There we go. See, that looks cool. I like it. It's subtle. And you know what? I'm going to go with a Helvetica for this. I kind of want it to be bolder though. Do I want to use Enter? Yeah, you know what? I'll use Enter Black. I like this one a lot. So really, I'm just going for like a minimal design, nothing crazy. And we want this to be kind of off black too. So maybe we'll just take the color of the shadow of our shirt. Kind of works, but you know what? I'm going to make a new document And we just want this to be 2048 or even less if you can get away with it, but maybe 2000 by 2000. We want this to be 72 resolution. The search engine optimization is always going to favor a website that loads faster. That's just the way it works. And you obviously want people to check out as fast as possible. So if you're uploading hefty files to Shopify or even Gumroad, it matters less on. Shopify, it matters more on. But just make sure you're being, kind of cautious when you're uploading large files because it can slow down your website. Now this one is already transparent, which is great. So we can just copy this and paste that into our new document here and make sure it's just centered. And we want to save this as a PNG for this one because we can utilize PNGs on Shopify. But again, they are going to take up more room and it's going to slow down your website just a little bit. I just realized that right side was missing, very annoying, but it's okay. I fixed it. Now we're saving it for the millionth time. So I'm on Shopify and I just went to my products and I'm going to click add product on the top right corner. And this is where we're going to upload our file that we just made basically, or sorry, our cover that we just made. It's getting late here, guys. I'm losing my mind, but we're going to use V2. We can use V1 too, but I'm not going to do that. Now you could get fancy with it. You can show the layers and all that stuff, which I recommend you do. We're not going to do that in this video. Go crazy with this mockup. Take your time on it. I did this in literally seconds. It didn't take me very long at all. We have t-shirt mockup, 300 DPI. It says what it needs to say. There's definitely a better way to approach it, but you guys get the point. For the description, you just want to be descriptive. So you could say features 300 DPI document, adjustable layers, realistic look. What do we want to name this? Our first, or maybe we could be specific, t-shirt mockup. And then the price, this is where you want to be competitive. So I would personally charge about $10 for this. Undercut the market a little bit and compare at price $17 because that's what we saw other mockups cost. Now, granted, this one's only the front for now, but if we were to legitimately launch this, we'd want it to be a lot better. We'd want to do front, back, and maybe even fold it, have different things for people. We don't need any shipping because it's a physical product, it's a digital product. We don't need any of this stuff either, really. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to draft this and let's check it out on the website. Our first mockup, and it's on the website. Now, I actually don't like this shadow that they added, so I'll probably end up getting rid of that. Or if I were you guys, I would not include that harsh shadow, or at least dial it back a lot. If you're using Gumroad, you don't need an app to upload digital files. But if you are using Shopify, you do have to use a third-party app to upload digital files. You want to make sure it gives you access to larger file sizes. So what I would do is go to Shopify App Store. So the way these work is we've already created our product in Shopify. So that's basically the face, right? That's what people see. We have our cover image, we have our pricing and all that stuff, but we need to attach our digital files to that product. And you have to do this for every single product. It's the same exact workflow. So you're going to basically download one of these. You have to pick one. Some of them are more expensive than others. And when you go to create a new product with these apps, it's going to ask you which product you want to attach those files that you uploaded to. So what product does it belong to? That's it. Simple. And then you just select that product and there you go. So when people buy that product, our new one, for example, it's going to send them an email with their download link or whatever way it works. All of them are a little different. So you just have to kind of see, test, figure out which one you like more. Shopify has their own proprietary app. It's called Digital Downloads. It sucks really bad and they take no responsibility for it. I have no idea why, but you can always try that one first. It is free. So now I'm going to show you guys how I set up my Facebook ads. We're going to watch a few of my ads that I've already created for some of my plugins and kind of dissect them. And I'll tell you guys why they work and why they don't work and how we can improve it if we wanted to. So yeah. Let's get into that. Before we watch the ad, the first thing you want to do is think about how your product is different than other people's products in your niche, because obviously in this niche there's competition, right? There's other people selling t-shirt mockups. So why is yours different? Is it cheaper? Is it more affordable? Or like however you want to word that, 300 DPI, realistic colors, don't pay more for quality, pay less. However you want to word it, you have to think about where your product is positioned compared to other people's products in your niche. In short, how is our product solving a problem? You have to answer that for yourself. I can't answer that for you, but you have to become a problem solver and your products have to solve problems. At the end of the day, humans want things done fast and they don't want to pay a lot for it, right? They just want to get it done fast and cheaper. If you can get things done faster and cheaper for designers, they're going to buy your products. And this one actually sold very well, and it solved a huge problem for designers, because one thing that designers, have a hard time doing is color separating using thresholds. And this plugin basically does it in seconds with one click. So let's watch it. One click, AutoThresh turns your artwork into a 4-color tonal separation, making it easier than ever to get a vintage print look. Adjust colors, tweak thresholds, and prep for printing with built-in knockout. There's like literally a flyer here. The perfect look every time with AutoThresh. Get it now at charliepinkus.com. All right, so notice how it was very short. It's a 20-second ad. It gets to the point. I don't waste any time at all. I give them the selling points, why it's beneficial for them to buy it, and I demonstrate it at the same time. So it's really just a quick ad. And that's really what you want. You want it to be no more than like 20, 25 seconds. If it's anything over 25 seconds, you're going to start seeing a fall off, and you're not going to convert as high. You're not going to make as many sales. So really just get to the point. Music's really low. It's not overbearing, but it probably could have been a little louder, to be honest with you, to capture more attention. But that's just something to keep in mind. Try one that has louder music, make a version that has lower music, and see which one does better. Try different variations of your script to see which one performs better. That's called A/B testing, and that's a very popular way of creating ads, is by testing them to see which ones perform better with slight changes. So there we go. Separation, making it easier than ever to... I showed the before and after. As you can see, I'm showing what it looked like before I applied AutoThresh, and it's very clear in their face. So that's how I create the ads. But how do I set up the ads? Let's go check it out. So this is my Facebook account. I'm going to blur certain things out for obvious reasons. I don't even need to explain, but this is it right here. So let's go ahead and create a new ad. So obviously we are trying to sell something. So we want to go ahead and click on sales, but it's important to note that all advertising is a funnel system, right? Marketing is a funnel system. So you have top funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel, essentially. Top funnel is more awareness. People are not as serious about buying in that stage. They're not even really serious at all. They're really just discovering you. Middle funnel is about getting them to be a little bit more curious and actually click on your product and start visiting your website and stuff like that. So for sales, it'd be more conversion based. So that would be bottom funnel. Bottom funnel is all about converting your customers. All of the funnel systems have different KPIs. So top funnel is more about cost per impression, or CPM. So it's going to be cost per 1,000 views or impressions. And then middle funnel is going to be more like cost per click and all that good stuff. You're basically paying for website traffic, people to click on your ad. You really want that to be low. You don't want to pay a high cost per click, or else your middle funnel is not very effective. And then bottom funnel is more all about the CPA, or cost per acquisition. You can also do CPL, cost per lead, or cost per sale. For our ad, we're going with sales, of course, because we want to start selling things. For the setup, I would use manual because I personally get better results with it. I don't really like the Advantage Plus shopping campaign, so we're going to use manual for this one. It's important to title all of your ads because, you want to make sure you know when they were created. So you can, typically just add the month's date. And what's the date today? It's the 26 already. Damn. So we're going to do 5/26. 2025, and we're going to name this first t-shirt ad. There you go. Simple. And we are going to make sure we don't declare anything because we really don't have to. We're not doing financial, employment, or housing, so we don't need to do anything like that. And where it says campaign objective, we're going to keep that as is. This is where you can set a campaign spending limit if you have a budget in mind. You really want to start off with at least like $20 to $25 per day, by the way. You could do less, but you're not going to see as good of results. For this one, we are not going to use Advantage. I'm telling you guys, it sucks really bad. Everything else we can keep the same. And then again, we want to name the ad set. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 05/26, and then we're going to do 2025. And this is going to be t-shirt or shirt mockup. This is where we want to make sure we change the conversion goals to maximize number of conversions. You can also do value, but we really don't need that. And then we can also set a cost per result goal. So what do you want to spend per conversion? How much is it going to cost you per conversion? Remember, all of the fees and everything all, takes away from your profit. So your Shopify monthly payment's going to take away from that. Your ads are going to take away from that. So how much do you want to make per sell, right? And this is where it gets a little tricky. If we're only charging $10 for our mockup, that means our margin's much smaller. So let's make sure we set this at like maybe $4 per result. So anytime someone buys our product, I don't want to pay more than $4 for that conversion. Now, we should probably raise our price of our product to like $14 so we can make up for this. Again, t-shirt mockups are a little harder to make profit on, so you have to be very strategic with how you're advertising. Another strategy is coming up with a higher ticket item and having like really good profit on it and just getting people on your website and eventually using that t-shirt mockup as like an upsell strategy. That's very complicated stuff, but budget can stay $20. Location, I would honestly don't choose more than like 3 different locations. So I would do United States, Canada, and maybe United Kingdom, something like that. You don't want to go too broad. So custom audience is if you already have a custom audience setup, which I'm not going to get into in this video. That's very complicated stuff, but we can actually exclude people or include people. So like, for example, we can target people that purchased something within the last 30 days. I don't really want that. We can choose website visitors or even Instagram followers. I don't really want to do all that. And that's an exclusion. So yeah, I don't want to do that. Age can actually be 18 to, I would say like 40. I wouldn't want to go any more than 45 is okay. That's kind of close though. Detailed targeting. This is where you want to include things that your audience, is interested in or, traits that they have. So Adobe Photoshop is good. What do they do for a living? Graphic design. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Then next you want to upload your creative, which I've already showed you one of my creative pieces. You want to add headlines and stuff. And if you loved what you just saw and you want to learn even more in greater detail, I am opening up my one-on-one lessons again. To sign up, all you have to do is shoot me an email at charliepangus.com, use the contact form, and I will get back to the first few people. Spots are ultra limited. Once they sell out, it's first come, first serve basis. That's it. And if you didn't get a response, that just means that I'm sold out basically. It's definitely not free, just so you guys know. Ahead of time, it's not free, so go into it knowing that it's gonna cost you money, but I'm going to be able to mentor you and teach you one-on-one. Again, spots are limited. Sign up at charliepangus.com, use the contact form, and just shoot me a quick email. Let me know you're interested, and I'll respond again to a few people. My name's Charlie Pangus. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.